I'd like to call the school committee meeting of February 12th to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Thank you. The listing of matters on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being videotaped for cable. I'd like to introduce Hannah Flynn as our student representative tonight. Thank you so much, Hannah, for coming. I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from the January 22nd, 2018 school committee meeting.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. On to our superintendent update. The first order is our business manager search.
Yeah, as I think all of you are aware, our business manager, Sarah Smith, is leaving us in August to start over somewhere else. She's moving out of the area, and Sarah's been with us about 10 years, right, as our business manager. And personally, I think she took over as a business manager at the worst time because we were going into the worst recession that we've had since the Great Depression, and I think she did a very, very great job keeping our head above water, working with the town, worked very closely with the town accountant and the town treasurer, and had a very good relationship, and really helped bridge our relationship with the town on that level. Also, the business manager job is not just doing a budget, but it's also being in charge of operations, so the maintenance department and the food service department and grounds and maintenance and things like that. So it is a catch-all job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of the operations that we go day to day, and then you see right now we're going into the budget season, so it's very hectic. But I think they'll all agree that past 10 years she's done an unbelievable job. One of the biggest things that she did, and we couldn't have done it without her, is being the MC, PPO, and the go-to person with the MSBA on doing this new building. And that, the last several years, took a lot of her time. And without her and the paperwork and all the contacts that she had to have with the MSBA, it really saved us a lot of headaches, and she was right on top of it. And there's a lot of deadlines for a project like that have to be kept on. So there are districts that actually hire a person to help in the district run and those projects, and are the liaison between the MSBA, and we just added to Sarah, so it really is a colossal job that she did. She did a great job, and it's a great building. So I think you'll all agree that she's done a great job, and we're sad to see her go, but happy for her in her new endeavors. And the search, so basically what we'd like to do is Sarah can stay until August, and we usually would hire someone in July. The last time we went through this 10 years ago, we actually had brought Sarah in. She worked with our former business manager, because there's a lot of overlap that really needs to be worked on. It's a good time of the year for them to come in because school's out of session, but they're just kind of, it's a new fiscal year starting, and the state audit is starting at that time that we have every year, so it's a nice overlap. And to be able to train a person before school actually starts. So she's said she would stay on for that overlap. So the search process, we will go out and advertise next month And I believe Mr. Flynn is agreed to be on the committee, and I'm not sure Mrs. Smith also, Jerry Ballard, myself, and maybe one of the operations people. So we'll go out, we'll put it on the Mass Association of School Business Organization website. They'll post those things, they'll put it out on their listserv. And I'm sure that there's someone out there that would like to come to this district. It's, the town's doing well. It's a fiscally responsible town and district, so I think it would be a good experience for someone. 10 years ago, when we went out and looked for a business manager, it had just become part of the regulations that that every school had to have a licensed business manager. You didn't have to have one before, and we didn't. We did it out of the town hall for a little while. So now, because of this organization and the fact that it's been 10 years, I think there could be maybe an assistant business manager somewhere that in a bigger district that would like to come to West Bridgewater or something like that. So I think we'll get good candidates. We're in a good location because we're right near a highway, so people can get here from a lot of places. So I think it will be a successful search, and I'm hoping that, you know, by the end of April, early May, we can have someone signed on, and then they can work with Sarah. So it's a smooth transition. So, thanks. She's got one last budget season with us.
Yeah, I know. We'll have Sarah around for a while to talk about her, but she's done an extraordinary job with the new building. But I think you will always be known to me as the person who followed the extension cords when you first got here. I remember all the teachers before I met you talking about, she's checking my extension cord to see what I have plugged into my classroom for the cost savings of things that, but the cost savings, I mean, you really did find many cost savings here, not only with our new building, but from day one when you hit the ground, so.
Nice, you guys gotta unplug those refrigerators.
Exactly.
I'll never forget that. That was good stuff. All right. So, national recognition?
Yeah, so we were notified by the National Council for Homes Safety and Security. They did a research study nationally to look at different aspects of schooling and ranked the 500 best public school districts in the nation. There were 9,577 eligible districts that they looked at, and they looked at student performance, dropout rate, poverty rate, school funding, and they collected all that data. And West Bridgewater was ranked one of the top 500. We were ranked number 310. So I think that's a pretty big honor to be number 310 out of 9,577 districts. So I just wanted to, I got that information last week, was notified of that. And I think what it says is that everything we're doing and the hard work that everyone puts in and the support that we get from the town pays off. Massachusetts actually had the most districts in the 500, which makes sense, I think, because the DESE is going around and we're number one in the nation, so they had 89 schools. But out of 9,577, it ended up being 310. I'm pretty happy with that. So it's just nice because you don't always get an outside view to be able to kind of look at what you do and look at your practices and show you where you end up. So I thought that was a nice thing.
Congratulations to us. Good job, everyone.
Yeah. Next.
School choice update.
School choice update. Yeah, I'll just give you an update. Last month, you voted to keep school choice open for another year. And it has been 3 weeks, and we have 84 applications for school choice. And I think that also says something about our district, because we don't advertise. When we first started with school choice, we'd put something in the Brockton Enterprise, we'd have open houses, we'd do that. We don't advertise. We just vote on it, and then people fled to the website, download the applications. You've been getting calls every day. Kim's been getting calls every day about, is it still open? So the application process will close in 2 weeks, and then I'll look at the March 1st enrollment data, because that's the latest data that we'll have that we have to give to the DESE, decide where we have openings, and then if we have more applications for a grade, then we have spaces, we'll do a lottery and accept people and go through that process through March. So again, I think it isn't hard data, but I think it's anecdotal data to show that we must be doing something right if in 3 weeks, 84 people apply and say, I want to get my kids into the West Bridgewater Public Schools. So last year, totally, we had about 130 applications. Usually can take between 25 and 30 kids, so usually we end up have to have a lottery. But, so 84.
Great, excellent. So our plans for the fiscal 19 budget.
Yeah, I heard from the town that the school will be presenting their budget on March 21st at 7:55, so if you want to put that in your calendars. And then the next evening, we'll be presenting to the Finance Committee at 7:10 our budget. And once we do that, then, we go through, they'll balance the budget, make recommendations, and then with the town administrator, they balance the budget based on the receipts they get, based on the growth, based on how much state general aid and Chapter 70. Chapter 70 money, which, if people don't know, is the money that gets earmarked for schools, did go up a little bit in the governor's budget. We don't know exactly if that will stay that way, because you still have to do the House budget and the Senate budget, but it's looking good that they're supporting, and it's gone up a little bit for us. Some of the other things, not really sure. Actually, the general aid in the governor's budget went up also. And last week, I was at the selectmen's meeting, and Mr. Gagne did a State of the Town address. And if you have a chance, you should watch it. He highlights some of the departments, and one of them was ours, so he said some good things about us. But also, he gives an update of how the town's doing in general. And one of the things he did was give a financial overview of the town. And it's very interesting. And definitely, West Bridgewater's doing very well financially. So when you hear the president saying that the economy's getting better and doing well, and the governor gave his state of the state and said our economy in Massachusetts is booming, West Bridgewater has had a lot of growth this year, and they have put into their rainy day fund and been building that up, which is important, because let's face it, things go in cycles. We will go into another downtime, we will go into another recession or something like that eventually, and you need to have those reserves. So it's based on what some of the graphs and the things that he put up. It definitely is also trickling down to West Bridgewater that financially we're in good shape. So that's a good thing. So if you get a chance to watch it, it's actually an interesting, I think, presentation that he did.
It's in the Board of Selectmen meeting?
Yeah, it was last week's Board of Selectmen meeting, and if you go onto the West Bridgewater YouTube station, you can go into that, and it will say State of the Town address by the town administrator, and it's probably 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but it's very well done. A lot of great information, things that you don't always know about the town. So he did a good job. He does a good job. I think he has done a good job since he's been here as town administrator, and we've had a very good relationship with the schools, so an open relationship.
Great. Under business, Mrs. Smith, the fiscal 2019 budget draft.
Do you want me to go up?
You want? Yeah.
The other one, but that's fine. I'll stay up. So you have your
draft for the budget for next year. There is a increase of 4.73%, but the operating budget actually only went up 2.9%. We do have 9 retirements this year, which is abnormally large. Teachers, principals, secretaries, so it's actually larger than it's usually been. But anyways, this is the draft. You will see some of the increases outlined on the cover page. I don't know if you want to say anything other, but it was supposed to be level funded with contractual obligations, which our contractual obligations are larger than what we put in for our increase. So there will be supplemental information when we go over the budget on the 26th. Is that the date?
Yeah, our actual budget
Yep.
meeting on the 26th. So this is for you to look through and familiarize yourself with, ask any questions if you want, and then Monday the 26th, we'll actually do a full budget presentation so that you can vet the budget, and we'll go through line by line and look at everything. And so that would be, more discussion and questions at that time. But we like to give it to you ahead of time so that you can, if you're really bored, so you can go through it.
No, it's great.
They may not be financial people, no. So you can go through it and just kind of get a handle on it so that when we do our presentation, and we'll be bringing in more information in our presentation. The MASC, Mass Association of School Committees, put a report out on the effects of, well, first of all the unfunded mandates in the past 5 or 6 years that have come down from the Department of Education in the state. And it is getting really crazy with the number of unfunded mandates. So they put together this report that listed all the unfunded mandates and what the effects have been on the state's school systems. So what we thought we'd do is we're actually going to show you, we took those unfunded mandates and said, okay, so in the last 5 years, we've had to do these things and we're trying to put together, so what did that cost us? And that money, those unfunded mandates, take money away from the regular operations that we had. So it's important to see that, and we're framing it around the same thing that the Mass Association of School Committees did. But it's really interesting how many changes have really taken place in schools in the last 5 or 6 years that have just come down. They said, oh, and now you have to do this. Oh, and now you have to do this. Things that no one really thinks about, like the McKinney-Vento Act, which is for homeless transportation. And people say, West Bridgewater, a town like that, you have homeless? Yeah, we do. If someone loses their house and they have to live with a relative or something like that, they have the right to go to the school that they were at. So it goes both ways. If they're coming here and they're doubling up with someone, but they still want to go to Marshfield because that's where they were from, we have to split the transportation. We have to get them there. If they're homeless somewhere else and they want to stay here, we have to get them here. And you don't know, it could happen in the middle of the year. That's an unfunded mandate. We also
How about the opiate one they just passed in December?
The opiate one, which is screening. All of a sudden we get to train school psychologists and train nurses to screen kids at different grade levels for addictive behaviors, which is the SBIRT training. Also, there's a new curriculum on that we have to put in for opiates. We have English language learners.
So you're putting this together first?
Yeah. But I mean,
I know you could go on right now.
No, but the English language learners is just interesting because we,
Doubled in the last 5 years.
Yeah, doubled in the last 5 years our English language, and this year alone. And they don't speak as much English, so they need more services. But the mandate from the state is, if you don't speak any English and you come into our schools, you're mandated to give 2.5 hours of English instruction to these kids a day. Now,
and it's
again,
something you can't budget for either.
You can't budget for it because they could come in the middle of the year.
Right.
So far this year, we've had 2 families from Haiti and 2 families from Puerto Rico, because of the hurricanes and stuff, that have moved here, and the kids don't speak a stitch of English. Well, we've got to teach them and give them 2.5 hours. So,
And we do, which is
yeah,
great.
it's
but then
just,
how do you
it's
pay
going
for
up,
it?
so we need more FTEs to
Yeah.
try to cover that. So,
And with one person going to multiple schools, it's,
yeah. So we'll go over the unfunded mandates, because I think it's important to see how it has affected our budget and kind of taken a strain from other things, so, because something has to give. And also look at trends and where does our money go and where is most of our money, and things that we've tried to do to tighten the budget and stuff. We're looking at the selectmen voted they want departments to give a level funded budget except for contractual obligations. And contractual obligations can be obviously teacher pay and those things, so pay raises, but it's also, we have a contract with our bus company, it goes up. We have service contracts. We have contracts with out-of-district placements for special needs students. So it's level funded, so if we were 12 million and then contractual, that's what they want us to come in at with our budget. So we'll talk about that on the 26th and go through it line by line. So in the meantime, if there's something that you do have a question on this, you can either come in and see us or call either of us, and we'll do the presentation, and it will be a really excellent night to go through line by line by line. Sarah loves this stuff. That's why she's a business manager. And so we'll do that on the 26th.
Yep.
Excellent.
Any questions? And then after that, on the 10th, I believe we have another meeting. So after the 26th, if you have any changes, if we have to tear down something, change something from a different line, whatever, we'll do that. And then you'll vote on it March 10th. You'll vote to approve it to go to the selectmen and the finance committee.
Excellent. Okay. Great.
Oh, 12th, I'm sorry, not 10th, March.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, Mrs.
I'm gonna
Smith,
stay
you get
up
to
here.
stay, yes, for the statement of interest for the Howard roof.
Yes. I'm not sure how long it's been since you've been in the Howard School, but the gym roof outside and inside is horrible. So we have done a
It's been a while since you've been there. It's been like that.
I know, right? So it's, I put in a statement of interest to the MSBA because they pay 54% of it. So I'm hoping that they will accept us again. Basically, the inside, you have the insulation falling in, and you get balls stuck up. It's just horrible. The outside also, wouldn't it be nice to have it match the rest of the school? Just thinking about it. So anyways, I did go to the Board of Selectmen and ask them to approve it also, and they did approve it. I have the minutes for that. So I'm just asking for you guys to send it forward to the MSBA. This is nothing about funding right now, just to send out the statement of interest.
Great, so I need to read this, what we're resolved to do, and after I read this, then we can make a motion to vote on it if so. So, resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 12, 2018, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the School Committee of West Bridgewater, Massachusetts, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated February 16, 2018, for the Howard School located at 70 Howard Street, West Bridgewater, Massachusetts, 02379, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future for a partial roof replacement or repair over the Howard School gym, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting the statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the town of West Bridgewater to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. So that's what we have to agree upon.
Can you say that again?
Sure. Are there any questions about the application that Sarah has, Mrs. Smith has prepared? All right. So
Moved.
Second.
Second, third.
All right, we're seeing no questions or discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, and this was the roof
You don't
that,
want to beat a horse to death, do you? We need a new roof.
I know, it's pretty, well, I know.
And that's not the
well, and
only,
this was the roof that
That's not the
was
only
not
thing she
done
came
when it was
after.
renovated.
Right. Yeah.
When the Howard School was renovated, the gym wasn't touched. That was years ago.
That was
And
part
then
of
when the roof was done, again up to that point, the whole thing. So the roof was done, but the gym roof was not. So it is really. We've done Roselle. We've done Spring. So it's really just this gym roof at Howard. So if we could get MSBA funding and they could give us like the 50%, that would really help us out. So when I talked to David Gagne, I said, let's try to do this before we go to for a capital item and see what we can get from the state, because that would.
Yeah, and the application is excellent. I mean, if they don't approve that, then they don't read the application.
Well, and I also think we've been very successful and done a good job with them with our accelerated repair projects. So they know that we are trying to keep our schools up and we take care of them. So I think that could help our application. So.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Michael Lasik for homeschool application. I've been practicing. Give me some time.
Good evening. Part of your packets, you have a request to homeschool. I did review the application, and it does comply with our district policy. Okay?
Excellent. Do I have a motion to approve the homeschooling request as presented? Moved.
second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Hume, will you give us an Inclusion Matters update?
The last meeting was Monday, February 5th, and they hosted Christy O'Donovan, speech-language pathologist, who presented on using apps to support our children's learning. The next family event will be at Kids Planet on Monday, February 19th from 5:30 to 7:30, and it's $15 per child. The next meeting will be held Monday, March 5th from 6 to 7:30 right here in the Learning Commons, and reading and understanding the IEP and educational assessments with Dr. John Cash, Assistant Professor of Special Ed at Bridgewater State University, will be the topic. Jason Winchell was elected to the board as secretary at the last meeting, and they are still looking to fill open board positions, particularly treasurer.
Great, thank you. Mr. Vodwell, do you want to present the changes for the middle senior high school program of studies? Excellent.
You should have 3 changes that we're going to discuss. If there's any questions, just let me know as I go through them. The first one has to do with the weights we assign for our courses. Right now, we have weights for college prep, honors, and advanced placement. Historically, the dual enrollment classes have been given honors weight. We'd like to get that moved up to the same weight as an advanced placement class. Dual enrollment class they take at Bridgewater State. Seems appropriate that it would be at the highest level. Throughout the program studies, you'll see a lot of courses that are listed as not offered. We do that year to year. We look at what courses have been offered traditionally, what courses maybe we go 1 year on, 1 year off. That also plays into some of the new courses that we are looking to add. We feel if we're adding a course, then maybe we'll just hold another course off for a year. So the first 3 courses are all in the fine arts department. 2 of them art, and 1 of them in the music department. We think that in the new building, we tend to be adding some more courses than we have in the past. But I think that's a credit to the building, the facility, the spaces that we have really allow us to add these kind of new, innovative courses that I think will only enhance the learning of our students. AP seminar, we started AP seminar a couple years ago. If students took 2 or more advanced placement classes, they were allowed to have this AP seminar, non-credit bearing course that would give them some extra time to prepare for these classes. We're recommending if they take 2 or AP classes, then they're allowed to have a semester of AP seminar. And if they have 3 AP classes, they could take it for both fall and spring semester. And the numbers kind of bear out that it looks like, when we look at the numbers this year, we have 35 students taking 1, we have 66 students taking 2, we have 10 students taking 3, 2 taking 4, and 1 taking 5. So, again, and the numbers have really increased over the past couple of years. So we have 210 exams being administered for 114 students.
Of the students that are taking 2 AP courses this year, how many of them are taking advantage of the AP seminar course?
I didn't look that up. I think quite a few of them are. And again, it has to fit in their schedule. They still need all their requirements. They still need to take PE and other courses. So it has to fit, but if it does fit, they tend to want to take it. Another course that we're looking to put back in, we had taken it out because it hadn't run for a few years, the MCAS math for grade 10 students. Those are our students who are at risk of not passing the test, so we put that back in. It'll be a small number of students and it would only be offered for a semester. In the science department, we're a new course, Physics 2. Currently, we have 24 students taking AP Physics this year, which is a great number. So, again, to advance some of those students beyond that level. New course in the Social Studies Department, Boston, City on a Hill. This is a course that they've been working to create during their common planning time. They're really excited to offer this class, and it's everything from, the American Revolution up to some of the great sporting events within Boston and some neat stuff. And then the last course is Spanish for Heritage Speakers. This is a course for our native speakers that deals more with literature. So when they come in, they really work on the literature rather than just being in a regular Spanish 2 or Spanish 3 class. After this course, the pathway for them would be to take either Spanish 5 or AP Spanish.
Those all look like some great additions and changes to line us up properly. Does anyone have any?
With the AP seminar, what was it before the change? Like, did it increase or?
If they took 2 AP classes, they could get AP seminar either for a semester or for the full year.
Oh, okay.
They could do both depending on their schedule.
Okay.
So, since have we all had plenty of time to take a look at it, I will entertain a motion to approve the program of study changes as presented.
Is
Moved.
it voted?
Is it what?
Is it voted?
We don't have to vote
We
on
don't
it?
have to vote on it. Nothing on it.
No, we had to.
Yeah, you do.
You do have to vote.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
Just on these are the changes that we're
Okay.
voting.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to personally, but it's a school committee meeting.
Well, I say we make Mr. Baldwell work a little harder and let's not vote.
Okay. What would you like to see changed? Well, was it moved? I don't remember.
I moved.
Yes, moved.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Moore? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the 2018-19 calendar. So this is our first presentation of the calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
First reading of the calendar. And you can see that there's a lot of information on this. So
Technically, you could see it if you could read it.
yeah, you need these.
Maybe I could see it now. Yeah.
You need like 250 cheaters. And
Now we
you,
can
so this is why we like to give it to you this meeting and actually not vote until next meeting, because it's really nice to have more eyes on it, because Kim and I and Linda and the other people in the office, we look at it, and after you look at it over and over again, you know you're missing something because there's so much detail in it. So I give it to you tonight. Please take a look at it and see if there's anything that sticks out to you. But the main things that you're really kind of voting on, in the fall, I think it was our October meeting, you made a decision that we would start before Labor Day from now on in the future, and we changed our policy that used to be the 4, 5, 6, you did something, and 1, 2, 3. So now you're starting before Labor Day. So if you look at where the start is, that would mean, and this is how we proposed it, okay? And you can think about this. That means the week before would be Monday the 27th. Monday the 27th, teachers would come for their first day. Then the 28th and 29th and half day on the 30th, which would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, kids would start. All kids except for kindergarten and pre-K. Okay, so grades 1 through 12. Then we would have Friday off, and this would just give everyone a long weekend. It's kind of a compromise because there's some people that say, no, we love Labor Day weekend because it's, I think it's the nostalgia of when we grew up and nothing started until after Labor Day weekend. Yeah. But it will still give people time if they want to have family time, do something, go away, and do it that way. And then you come back on Tuesday and it's a full week. The 4. It's also, I think, Mrs. Smith, you had talked about when we voted on this that it kind of is a soft start. You go 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and you kind of ease back into it. Some schools that go before if they do 3 days, maybe the teachers come on Tuesday, then you do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have done this day off on Friday before, and I know teachers have liked it, and I've heard that parents actually like it too. So this is what our proposal is for that. What that does is, if you look in June, so the 180 days of school brings you to the 11th of June, not counting 5 snow days. So if we had 5 snow days, it would be the 18th, or how many we would have. When you figure out graduation, you can't have graduation more than 12 school days, correct? 12 school days before the end of school, the official end of school. So if you count back 12 school days, that would bring us, the 12th day would be the 24th of May, and that's the Friday before Memorial Day. So that's going the maximum of 12 days. The other option is you could go May 31st, which is the Friday after that. So you might want to think about that. That would bring us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8. 11, and then 24th is 12. So depends what you want to do.
December 21st.
The other thing is, if you look at the break before the holidays in December. This year, before that week, we had a half day on the Friday, and we have done that for several years because the holiday fell, or Christmas Eve maybe fell on the Saturday or the Sunday or something. This year, you can see that the holiday, actually Christmas Eve, doesn't fall until Monday, so I did put Friday in as a full day. I don't really see that we need to have a half day because they have the weekend and stuff,
No,
but that's another one that I'm leaving up to you. So that is a potential that you need to discuss at some point. Other than that, the principals have checked the open houses and the orientation schedule, and they're okay with those things. You can double check the school committee meetings, but we tried to make them like the same week in the month. The first 2 had to be the 3rd week, September and October, and then November. The rest of them are the 2nd week of the month. Because holidays fall in there. Those Monday holidays kind of mess up our school committee meetings. Other than that, just kind of check for accuracy, but really I think you're mostly concerned with start, finish, and any vacation days and stuff. I didn't miss anything, did I?
Nope.
So if you can look at that, that would be appreciated. If you have any suggestions, if you see any typos, if you see something that doesn't make sense or something that's colored the wrong color or something like that, send it our way, because like I said, the more sets of eyes we have on this, the better. And then we'll vote on it in March. or if you have any other suggestions for how we start or the finish or anything like that.
Great. So, policy reviews. The first policy we have for approval is policy 5200, curriculum development.
Yes, Dr. Oakley and I had talked about
Supposed to take that off.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's all right. Just keeps everyone on my toes. We'll, again, table that because we're still somewhat in transition, trying to make sure that we have all these items accounted for in the curriculum.
Excellent. The AED policy was mine, the automatic external defibrillator policy. And I reviewed this with Mrs. Amaral, our lead school nurse, and there were very minor changes, some contact information for her, and the maps on 2 of the schools. We now have 2 AEDs at the Howard and Roselle, and the maps were only showing 1, so we updated that. We also had Chief May take a look at it, and he thought it looked great. And unlike the other policy, that I did check what the state recommends for the policy, and the recommended policy is very short and concise. And although I like that we're going towards the I like that we're going towards
Uniformity.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you. When I read through our policy and the things that we would have taken out, all have to do with safety and life-saving measures, and I thought to myself, there would not be a downside to somebody reading this an additional time. So not that this is the only place they'll ever read this information, but there's a lot of great information in here, and since it has to do with safety, I felt as though we should leave it West Bridgewatered and leave all that additional information. So those are my recommendations, just to actually change the contact information and update it and leave it as is. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this policy with the changes that were made.
Moved.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. All right, Narcan policy. This is a new one, Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes, that is mine. I heard back from Nurse Amaral, and she had provided me guidelines for schools that were given by the school health unit of the Department of Public Health. So she and I are going through those. They're very extensive when compared to the state or the MASC policy for the Narcan. So she and I would like to somewhat, as Mrs. Smith just said, West Bridgewater it, as well as obviously have the other necessary components. And I also sent it out to Chief May, and I'm still just waiting to hear back from him, because he obviously has valuable input as well. So I'd like to table this until I can just blend the policies.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do you want to put it on our March meeting? Or?
March, definitely.
Okay.
It'll be done by then, yes. Thank you.
Great. And Mr. Flynn, the concussion policy. Or no, did I skip one? I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. Mrs. Young, sorry. The policy 6450, fundraising, field trips, and celebrations.
That one is almost, I really wanted to try to get it done for this meeting, but I need a little more time. I'm breaking that one up just to get it more in line with the MASC's standard policy examples. So I'm close, but I need to have a little more time.
Okay, excellent. So it will be more than one policy? It will be 2? Or?
It will be 2, and then I think the celebrations one is going to be more transferred to the wellness policy, since that piece of this really falls more in line with wellness.
Okay. Should we open the wellness policy then for review? Would that be helpful, or would it be?
And it's definitely a policy that I'm sure you'd enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
When did we last do it?
And then just.
I feel like I did it last year.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
how we should just
Maybe you could just make an addendum to it?
Make an addendum until we open it again, and then we can go from there.
from there.
That's a good idea.
Okay, that sounds good.
So I'm not sure what we decided on, but we'll table it till which is good, because we didn't open any policies tonight or assign any policies, so this is perfect. Okay, so Mr. Flynn, the concussion policy.
And I'm in the same boat, not quite finished.
Okay,
Table till March.
excellent. Well, anyways, it looks like it's Mrs. Flynn's job, so can you check with her?
Yeah, I'll ask Mrs. Flynn when I get home tonight.
See how she's doing with it. Tell her she doesn't have enough going on, but she needs to help you with this concussion policy. All right, excellent. All right, warrants. We have warrant number 32A dated February 15th, 2018 for $90,606.73. Can I get a motion to approve the warrant?
Oh, second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to go into the public forum. Members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Audience members are reminded that personnel issues or issues that would violate student confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public forum. Would anyone like to address the committee? See no takers. We're going to go on to our calendar. So district-wide, on February 2nd, report cards were posted in Aspen for, that was the middle senior high school. February 19th through 23rd, winter break, no school. March 7th, half day for everyone, for teachers in service. District meetings, the school council meetings at the Howard School, it's February 13th at 2:45. At the Spring Street School on February 15th at 2:45. The Roselle McDonald, February 26th at 3:30. At the Middle Senior High School, February 12th at 3 o'clock. Next PTO meeting is February 27th at the Howard School at 6:30. The Music Boosters meeting, March 6th at 6:30 p.m. The Athletic Boosters meeting, February 28th at 7 p.m. And the CPAC meeting, March 5th at 6 p.m. At the Middle Senior High School on March 9th, the Mr. WB fundraiser at 7 p.m. At the Howard School on February 27th, grade 6, the Star Lab, which is sponsored by the PTO. At Roselle on March 1st, Read Across America from 6 to 7 p.m., which is sponsored by the PTO. And at Spring Street on February 9th, report cards will be coming home. Our next meeting date is Monday, February 26th at 6:30, right here in the Learning Commons to review our budget line by line. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move. Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.